So since I was 13, I decided to devote one day of my life to the community. I just always had this urge that I really wanted to share, but I didn't know anything that I could share, and I didn't have very much because my family didn't have very much money. So what I started sharing was just one day of my week, which in those days, I mean, I would go to elders' home and, you know, clean and cook and read a book for them. And it led to many other community-related activities once a week. It was like my church, you know, the service of the community. And so then I started with the elders, and I started with the children. And by the time I hear about organic agriculture, I was working with bringing doctors to the communities once a month. We were serving like 150 people. I was in charge of organizing volunteers to translate and to facilitate for the doctors who will fly from the United States to this poor barrio in a part of Baja here in Mexico. And I will orchestrate all the medicines and stuff and organize them, like all these bunch of medicines that are about to expire, you know, to organize them in like major categories. And, you know, some aspects of what I was doing didn't make sense, you know. So I started questioning myself, because people was sick and it seemed like we only were patching the illness and kind of like treating symptoms rather than truly understanding what was happening with people. So when I heard about organic agriculture, then I started like integrating, telling all the volunteers to always like talk about like eat good food, and, you know, I start like talking about organic of the little bit that I know at that time. But then I realized that the problem was much bigger. It was the food, it was the environment, it was the chemicals they were taking. And I decided that what I was doing to help the community wasn't actually helping. So then I stopped the restaurant business. I stopped doing my volunteer work with the doctors. I didn't know what to eat. So I decided to start a garden. But it was very hard because I didn't have too much information and I didn't know where to look in those days, you know. So I started like digging. I hear about compost, so I started like just adding all my leftovers directly to the ground. I'm sorry, my first garden was a mess. It's so hard to work there. It like smells so bad, and I was like really trying, you know, but I didn't have a direction. So, but I keep looking for information, because I knew that if I really wanted to help my community, it had to do with a better environment and better food. So it became obvious to me that it was about gardening, and community gardens was a key element. And so that started kind of like my search, and it started my work, because I quit everything and I went to move to a farm to volunteer. I lost all my friends. You know what I mean? I used to like wear high heels and be all fancy, and then the next thing you know, like I'm down to the earth, like barefoot, just living in a tent. The first time my friends come to visit to that situation, it was the last time I saw them. You know? So anyhow, that was the beginning of my journey on a different level of consciousness. In that journey, I learned that actually we're never alone. And this I learned it because my first birthday in the living on the land camping, I was alone, because even the people that I was helping on that farm were not there for my birthday, and I had lost all my friends. So I was celebrating my birthday, I was kind of like, I was starting to get kind of sad. So I decided to paint, because I love to paint and write poetry to kind of like transform whatever emotions I'm going through. And so I decided, okay, I'm gonna paint. And I started painting, and then I started like looking around, and I started sensing that actually in the place where I was camping, I was not alone. at all. You know, the whole place was alive. You know, that then all of a sudden it was like I start sensing the plant spirits, and the earth herself was alive, and then the birds, and then the lizards, and it's like, and everything was so alive that I realized that even through my breath, I was connected to everything and to everyone. And it's like that was huge for me. That really like changed my perspective in so many things, you know, so many ways. So I went through a long journey of like 10 years of like totally immersed of like I want to like sew my own clothes. So I did a lot of sewing. I mean, I tried to make my own shoes, but that didn't went so well. They lasted me very little because I walk a lot, but I try it, you know, and that was a very beautiful journey too. But then it led me to where I am right now, and the realization of the time and all the tools that we have right now and all the different ways that people live. And so right now I feel like it's time to kind of integrate and bridge, because in the time when I went completely to like trying to be like completely an earth woman, like they say, an earth woman, like I didn't want any plastic and, you know, these things. I realized then I went to totally the other extreme, and I became even like judgmental, and I was like too proud of being so pure and all these things, that I realized that I went to the other extreme, you know. And now I'm integrating my time of being a woman of the world to becoming a woman of the earth, and so I'm becoming a woman of the now, a woman of the seeds, a woman of the truth, a woman of the life, you know. And I'm just trying to bring all of these elements into being able to share it with the children and the young people and whoever wants to hear it.